Hey there guys, what's going on? In today's best class setups in Modern Warfare video, we're taking another look at the brand new weapon in this game, the Bruen MK9, which I'm sure you've been seeing a fair bit of recently in your Warzone games and of course in your multiplayer games as well, because it is a very, very fun weapon to use. It's basically an LMG that is absolutely insane. Definitely one of the best LMGs in the game at the moment. And with the right attachment setup, plays very much like an assault rifle, and you've probably heard that an awful lot. This weapon is basically just an assault rifle with a 60 round mags. They've apparently made the challenge to unlock the gun a little bit easier, in which you can sort of kill people around the smoke, and I think you can also be standing in the smoke to get people to sort of count towards that particular challenge, but I've already unlocked it, so I'm skipping past that. But I genuinely think this is one of the best guns in the game at the moment, and definitely the best LMG for sure, just based on the mobility, sort of handling, the actual damage range. The damage numbers are pretty good, like they're very similar to the PKM, but the gun just feels way better because you can make it so mobile, and it just feels like you're running around with an assault rifle basically that does all of the good things that an LMG does. But just before we talk about this new Bruen MK9 class setup here, let's try and get this video to 22 likes. The support has continued to be excellent recently, so make sure you do subscribe with those notifications turned on, because according to this little graph here, about 94% of you guys watching this video are not subscribed, so do help a guy out here. We did very recently hit 1,500 subscribers, so I guess we're on the road towards 1,600 now. So let's talk about this new Bruen MK9 class here. So we'll start off with our sidearm perks and grenade choices here, as we always do. We do have a secondary, and it's a fantastic one at that. Here we do have the Akimbo Renetti pistols with the MK3 burst mod, the 1mW laser, the lightweight trigger, the 27 round mags, and of course the Akimbo perk. This is a perfect option for pretty much every situation at those close ranges. Like, you come around the corner, you pull these up, and you just basically spray someone down. They don't even have a chance to react most of the time. A perfect close range option for sure. In the perk slot, we do have EOD in the 1 slot, basically just so we don't die to those explosives. Nobody likes dying to the guy chucking just C4s over and over again, so being able to survive at least one is always going to be beneficial. Or we can go with quick fix as well in the perk 1 slot, just to get that health regeneration started as soon as we do get a kill, which is sometimes more powerful than a stim shot. Perk 2, we do have Ghost here, making us undetectable by UAVs. This sort of helps us stay off of that radar, makes us able to sort of sneak around the map and move very quickly and quietly, making it very easy for us to get loads of kills and then sort of move away without being spotted too easily. And it also works in perfect combination with our third perk, which is Tracker, which does leave an enemy footprint trail that we can see. It also lets you see enemy markers of people that are dead, and it also hides the death markers of enemies that you do kill. So you can kill a second enemy because the first enemy that rounds the corner dies, and the second guy won't see their death marker, so it makes it pretty easy to pick up double. In the lethal slot, we do typically run the C4, just because, again, like I said, it's very powerful. Just chuck it around a corner, over a wall, and we sort of get a kill most of the time. And of course, the tactical is going to be the stim shot, just because it's super powerful to get that extra life pretty much every time. As soon as we do get a kill, sort of take a little bit of damage, we pop this and we're back up and running. But for those of you who are just after the attachments on the Bruen MK9, this is what we are running here. This is a particularly spicy class here. Basically, we've set this up with all of the mobility attachments. In this particular case, we have the Bruen 18-inch para barrel for the aim down sight speed and movement speed. Just gets those sights up super quick. Tac laser for a similar option, just gets that sight up again very quickly. The no stock for the movement speed, and of course the aim down sight speed again. The 60 round mags are a particularly interesting slot that we're going to talk about in a few minutes when we go into more detail, but no, this makes us very powerful. It's probably the most important attachment for the Bruen MK9. And of course we run the stipple grip tape just because you run it on pretty much every weapon in the game. This combination of attachments really sets us up to have one of the most powerful weapons in the game at the moment. It's definitely a little bit surprising, as typically people think of LMGs as big slow weapons that you can sort of make a little bit faster, but you're still going to have to worry about the handling and mobility speed. Whereas with this particular Bruen MK9 class setup, we just basically have an assault rifle with 60 round mags. We can get those sights up super quickly. We jump around corners and stuff like that to get rid of the sprint to fire speed, and we can just go from there. You're pre-firing people on shoot house. People can't really deal with you. With this class, we do get a great combination of damage, effectiveness at range, good mobility, very good handling, and a quick reload. I think it's about 1.8 seconds, which compared to how it is normally is much faster, probably 2 or 3 times faster. So for those of you who are just after the attachments and the perks, feel free to dip out of the video at this stage to go shred some noobs like we did here. This game was actually very fun. Like, just love using the Bruen MK9, man. It's one of my favorite weapons in the game, like I said. If you are dropping out of the video at this stage, I do thank you for watching. I appreciate you sticking around, and I will see you in the next one. But for the rest of you, I'm going to talk in more detail about our attachment choices because there's actually some really interesting stuff with the Bruen MK9. So as I said earlier, this is basically our new Bruen MK9 class setup here. We've gone with something a little bit more mobile and sort of less focused on damage range. This is more focused on fighting at those close ranges, which is super powerful. Our previous class did feature the monolithic suppressor, and we've basically replaced that for the Bruen 18-inch para barrel. As I said earlier, this does give us aim down sight speed and movement speed while reducing our bullet velocity and recoil control. Typically, I've found that when something says that it reduces your bullet velocity, it also reduces your damage rate, and in this particular case, it does reduce it by about 10 to 15%. But again, we're not super concerned about that, as we're really focusing on fighting at sort of close to medium range with this, as we want to get those sights up quickly, get those bullets down range, and so the extra damage range loss is not too much of a worry here. If you are more concerned about fighting at those medium ranges, we can also swap this out for the monolithic suppressor, which, like I said, does give about a 10 to 15% damage increase to our range. So these are pretty much interchangeable, and if we want more aim down sight speed, we definitely want the para barrel, and that's why I've chosen it here as the first attachment in this Bruen MK9 class here. Next, in the laser slot, we've gone with the TAC laser. I've seen some mention of the 5mm laser going around, and this is another good option as well if we want to be more aggressive, focus a little bit more on hip firing, but I feel like the sprint to fire speed that we get can sort of just be given to us through sort of jumping around corners, doing that bunny hop around the corner. People sort of move around very quickly around corners. It sort of eliminates your sprint to fire speed altogether. So we do want the TAC laser for the aim down sight speed, and the aiming stability and aim walking steadiness. This does help us, like I said, get our sights up very quickly, and it also helps us stay on target by having our weapon not sway as much as it normally does. We do of course have the visible laser to contend with, but I mean, it's just one of those things where it's not too big of a deal. Like, we get those sights up, we spray people down, we put the sights down, we continue to move around the corner, get the sights up again. So the TAC laser isn't going to be up all the time, and people sometimes don't really notice it. People are more likely to notice it if it is out all the time. So this is an interesting choice here for sure as our second attachment in this particular Bruen MK9 class setup. We skipped over the optics slot because I think the iron sights on this particular weapon are pretty decent. Like, you can see it in the background here. They're just fine. They're pretty standard iron sights, and it's what you would see on most LMGs in this particular option here. Next, we do have the stock slot. We've basically got two choices. We can choose either the no stock for the movement speed and aim down sight speed at the cost of aiming stability and recoil control, or another option here is of course the skeleton stock, which does give us aim walking movement speed and aim down sight speed. Typically, our aim down sight speed is not too much of a concern with either of these two, like they both do a very similar job at what they do, whereas the aim walking movement speed is about a 10 to 15, like 20% increase to our movement speed. I think typically when we're aiming, it's at about 30%, and with this, it does go up to about 50% of our regular movement speed. Whereas with the no stock, it moves our actual movement speed up to about 95, 96%, whereas it normally is at about 92, 93%. So there's sort of very small differences between these. If you do feel like you want to strafe a bit more often, like the skeleton stock is a very good option for sort of helping you be more mobile while you're aiming down sight. Or if you're more concerned with sort of jumping around corners and moving quickly and stuff like that, you can of course run the no stock. Both of these options do a very fantastic job at making us more mobile and getting our sights up very quickly. I'm going with the no stock just because I like to hop around those corners, get those sights up quickly, help me move around the map faster, so that's why I've chosen the no stock as the third attachment here. Next, we've got the rear grip tape, and of course, we want this stippled one. Everybody knows this was coming. The aim down sight speed and sprint to fire speed are just simply too good to pass up. Like, aim stability and aim walking steadiness on the granulated grip tape is really lame. Like, that really just focuses on our idle sway, and that's nothing to worry about. And the rubberized grip tape does help with recoil control, which could be good with this particular class setup, as the recoil is a little bit shaky with the no stock and the para barrel. But I feel like we lose a lot of aim down sight speed and sprint to fire speed bonuses when we do have this equipped. So this is one that we pretty much have to take, and it's sort of one of the first attachments that goes on this class just to get those sights up very quickly, spray those bullets down range, and it's a fantastic fourth attachment for this class here. And lastly, we've got the real star of the show. The 60 round mags in the ammunition slot is probably one of the best attachments in the game at the moment. You get aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, movement speed, and a detachable magazine with a reload speed of about 1.8 seconds, which is about 2 to 3 times faster than the standard one, which is absolutely insane. Basically, this is the mobility attachment. We throw this on and the gun just instantly performs way better than it already does. This gun can be a little bit of a chore to level up without this, and sort of running around without this is a bit of a pain, but once you do unlock this, you're unstoppable. Like, this turns you from having an LMG that's kind of slow, low mobility, and sort of hard to move around with, to having basically an assault rifle, as we've talked about a number of times already. So definitely one of the best attachments in the game for sure at the moment with these 60 round mags, and that's why I've chosen it as our last attachment here, and it does very much bring our class here together with our very fast, very mobile looking Bruen MK9 Class Setup. Alrighty guys, this is our full class setup here with all of the attachments. We'll go over the perks and lethal grenade choices and tactical grenade choices in a second, but this basically gives us a perfect combination of damage, range, and sort of mobility that lets us move around the map quite quickly and be very effective at what we do. This is one of the best setups in the game at the moment for being able to maintain sort of damage at range, be very mobile, and sort of have a very good time doing it. Sort of one of the best classes for the brand new weapon in the game. We did take a look at this earlier, but I think this class is better than that one. Here is, of course, the sidearm that we do choose with the Akimbo Renettis. Again, very powerful option for being up close and personal. The perks EOD, Ghost, and Tracker, and of course the C4 and the Stim Shot. And that does wrap up our class here, so thank you very much for stopping by. If you did enjoy this one and it did help you out, make sure you do leave a like and do subscribe if you are new around here, of course. I do very much appreciate you all stopping by. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. I do appreciate it, of course. We did recently hit 1,500 subscribers, and we're still on the grow. Like, we're up towards 1,600 now, which is very exciting. So I will see you very soon in the next video. Bye!